Welcome learners to week 8 section 1. Today we will be giving an introduction. We will be briefly discussing the values for sustainable development. Why are we going to discuss sustainable development? Sustainable development is very important. Sustainable means to sustain, to preserve. So why are values for sustainable so important to talk about in today's time? Intensification of agricultural activities, rapid industrialization and increasing use of non-renewable energy are being carried out to fulfill the needs of millions. You know that these activities have taken a heavy toll on both the natural as well as the social environment. A heavy price is being paid in terms of environmental degradation and the continuing socio-economic marginalization. So when we talk about sustainable development, we have to sustain our environment, we have to sustain our resources. And why should we do it? We should do it because for the future generation, we have to preserve these resources. If we do not preserve resources for the future generation, then they will starve, they will not be able to survive. So it is very important to sustain resources, to preserve resources. Man is wasteful by nature and his wants are very, beginning to bury him, which means that his wants, his desires are many, it is unlimited. For example, he has made septic tanks of lakes, rivers, and also for our insatiable needs, we have lost huge tracts of precious land, forest land, and thousands of species. Vast amount of natural resources have been plundered. Agricultural land and the overall environment have been degraded. We are fast moving towards a situation where the very existence of quality life on this planet is threatened. If we see around us, there has been a lot of deforesting. If we see around us, for example, I am from Delhi and I can see that the river Yamuna is being polluted, and we can see that there is so much of pollution which is around me. So why are these happening? These are happening because man is wasteful by nature and his wants are unlimited, and his wants and desires are beginning to bury him. So it is very important that we should start preserving the environment, reduce pollution, make our nature more and more beautiful instead of dumping wasteful products on the river. We should be more in tune with nature and what is around us to protect our nature, the environment around us. Besides biodiversity, cultural diversity, which is considered to be a unique set of human race, is also at stake due to social polarization, rising intolerance and conflict. An issue of further concern is that the benefits amassed are being reaped by the powerful and privileged, while a large number of people are getting marginalized. So other than nature, other than the environment which are fast depleting, fast degrading, we have our cultural diversity, the pride that we say when we say that our country, India, is an embodiment of unity in diversity. We see that this pride of unity in diversity, the values which makes up this very embodiment of unity in diversity is at stake. This is because there has been a lot of social polarization. There has been a lot of hierarchy, differences between the rich and the poor. The rich are getting richer and richer, and the poor are getting poorer and poorer. There has been a lot of rising intolerance, in terms of intolerance with regard to many religious groups. A lot of communal tension have been rising. There has been a lot of conflict taking place because of caste-based issues. So other than your biodiversity, our cultural diversity is threatened, because we see that a lot of people are being marginalized. Marginalized groups would be women, would be elderly people, the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribe, and also the differently abled people. So we see that a lot of these groups are being marginalized. So it is very important to bring these people into the mainstream of development. However, in spite of these differences, in spite of these problems, in spite of these tensions, the heartening aspect in this gloomy scenario is the realization that, albeit quite late, in spite of the gloomy scenario, in spite of this chaotic situation, there is this realization, though quite late, that development at the cost of nature, and that which fulfills the needs of some people for some time, cannot be sustained over a length of time. Today, there is a consensus regarding the notion that we are already at the brink of an impending disaster of our resources being depleted, being degraded. Then the generation to come would inherit an inhabitable earth. So we all have to come together, and because of this realization, in spite of being quite late, there has been what we call groups, committee being formed for sustainable development, to sustain resources for the coming generation, for the future generation. Sustainable development is the idea that human societies must live and meet their needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. The official definition of sustainable development was developed for the first time in the Brundtland Report in 1987. So when we talk about various committee being formed, various world leaders meeting for sustainable development, it started way back in the 1980s, when the official definition of sustainable development was introduced. And sustainable development is a way of organizing society so that it can exist in the long term. This means taking into account both the imperatives present and those of the future, such as the preservation of the environment and natural resources, or social and economic equity. So when we talk about sustainable development, it is to organize a society in such a way that it can exist in the long term. The future generation can live comfortably on earth. And also when we talk about sustainable development, it means taking into account both the present and those of the future, such as the preservation of the environment, and also not only preservation of the environment or natural resources, but also maintaining social and economic equity. When I say social and economic equity, there should be overall development of all the different groups in the society. There should be overall development of the marginalized groups. There should be equal distribution of wealth. There should be, wealth should be, resources should be allocated equally, so that each individual, each group in the society can progress equally. It is a vision of development that encompasses population, animal, plant species, ecosystem, natural resources, and that integrates concerns such as poverty, gender equality, human rights, education for all, health, human security, intercultural dialogue. So what is this vision for sustainable development? When we talk about vision for sustainable development, it encompasses population, animal and plant species. It consists of ecosystem, natural resources, and also integrates concerns such as poverty, and also take gender equality as an important issue to be fulfilled, then fulfillment of human rights, education for all, health for all, human security, intercultural dialogue in terms of understanding each other culture, sensitivity to other culture. Hence, perception about sustainable development and human needs cannot be narrowed down to matters related only to the environment. Like I said before, it is not only the biodiversity that has to be sustained, we have to sustain the cultural diversity as well. There should be a holistic view that includes in its ambit, in the ambit of sustainable development, we should include what is called cultural diversity, and there should be a holistic view that includes in its ambit three interrelated constituents, that is environment, sustainable economic development and sustainable socio-political development, and this have to be adopted for sustainable development. In 1972, the first UN conference on the environment, the first big world leaders meeting was organized by the United Nations to discuss the human impact on the environment and how it was related to economic development. One of the main goals of this gathering, that is the gathering in 1972, the first UN conference on the environment, what was the main goal? This gathering's main goal was to find a common outlook and common principles to inspire and guide the world's population to preserve the human environment. The Sustainable Development Goals are a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and improve the lives and prospects of everyone, everywhere. These goals were adopted by all UN member states in 2015 as part of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which set out a 15-year plan to achieve the goals. These sustainable development goals are to be achieved by 2030, and these sustainable development goals were adopted by the UN member states in 2015. An ethical framework of sustainable development provides normative guidance, and it can serve only one ultimate end, which is human happiness. Earlier, human happiness was considered to be related mainly to natural wealth. This is depicted by the model given that relates natural wealth as the ultimate means to human happiness and well-being as the ultimate end in a hierarchy of human institutions, technology, economy, politics, and ethics. So when we talk about ethics, which is based on sustainability, it implies one, with respect to the natural environment, it means acknowledging species and ecosystems as systems having their own identity and the right to exist in the present and in the future. The natural environment cannot be viewed as a source of resources, infinite source of resources, but must be viewed as life space on which our existence depends and for whose future we are responsible. So when we talk about sustainability, when we talk about ethical framework of sustainability, we are talking about what is called ultimate end, which is human happiness. When we talk about human happiness, during the earlier times, human happiness was considered to be related to the natural wealth, the natural surrounding. However, yes, Human happiness is related to natural health, natural wealth, I mean, and also it is also related to the cultural diversity, how culture have to be developed, have to be maintained, have to be passed on from generation to generation. And when we talk about ethics based on sustainability, it implies that species, ecosystems as systems having their own identity have the right to exist in the present and in the future, and the natural environment cannot be viewed as having an infinite source of resources, but also must be viewed as a life space on which our existence depends, and for whose future we are responsible. Secondly, with respect to human system, it means respecting the right to equitable treatment for all human beings without differentiation by region, religion, race, gender, political conviction, income, wealth, and education. Why is it so important to maintain equitable treatment of people irrespective of their religion, race, gender, political conviction, or their income or education? It is very important to maintain harmony of people from different groups, because if there is equitable treatment, if we maintain peace and harmony when it comes to these diverse groups, there would be unity, there would not be any conflict. If peace is in their society, then the society can develop, society can progress. However, if the society is marked by cultural differences, if the society is marked by inequitable treatment to the various diverse groups, then a lot of tension will take place, a lot of violence will take place, a lot of resources would be wasted to keep these diverse groups in control. So if resources are used for the development of the society, instead of spending resources on trying to resolve conflicts, the resources can be used to build the future generation. The resources can be used for the development of the society, for the country to become developed, for the country to be economically developed, politically, as well as there can be a lot of social development if there is equitable treatment given to all diverse groups. Violence will be low, tension will be low, there would be peace and harmony, and there would be a harmonious society, which is very good for the development of all. And thirdly, when we talk about ethics and sustainability, with respect to the future system, it means respecting the right for existence and development of future generations, species, and ecosystems in the spirit of the slogan, "We have borrowed the earth from our children," which means that when it comes to the future system, we should not be selfish, we should not be having one track mind of just fulfilling our needs and desires in our present system, in our present situation. We should not be just thinking about of our our immediate desires, our immediate needs, because it is very important that the future generation, our children, are the people to come in the future should be able to inhabit the earth peacefully and have good amount of resources for their development, for their growth, and so on. So when it comes to the future systems, when it comes to the future ecosystem, when it comes to both the cultural biodiversity, the biosystem, it is very important to sustain these development for the children, for the future generation, and we should preserve and protect the species. We have to preserve the environment around us, we have to preserve the culture around us, because this is very important for the proper development of each and every group in the society, of individuals in the society. So in today's class we have discussed values with regard to sustainable development. We have talked about what sustainable development is. We have talked about why sustainable development is important. We have also talked about the ethics of sustainability, and we have also talked about why it is important to protect both the biodiversity, that is nature, the environment, the ecosystem, as well as protect the cultural biodiversity, and also to maintain peace and harmony in the society, so that the development, the society would progress and would be very good for the future generation to live. And also these values for sustainable development is not difficult to achieve. It is within our reach. It is within us to achieve these values for sustainable development, because each of us in very small measure in our own way can contribute to this sustainable development. That is, we should not waste our resources, we should be careful of how we use electricity, we should not keep plastics we should not just dump plastic around us, and so on and so forth. So each of us have a contribution to make towards sustainable development, to protect the future generation, to preserve the resources for the future generation. Thank you so much.